Hello, boys and girls. I am going to read to you today one of my favorite books of all time by one of my favorite authors, Jan Brett. And the book is called The Mitten. It's to Sylvia Kyle, Ruth Ann Johnson, Rebecca Lim, and Tad Beagley. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool as white as snow. At first, his grandmother, Baba, did not want to knit white mittens. "If you drop one in the snow," she warned, "you'll never find it." But Nicky wanted snow white mittens, and finally Baba made them. After she finished, she said, "When you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound. But then I will look to see if you still have your snow white mittens." So off Nicky went, and it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. A mole, tired from tunneling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so he decided to stay. A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. He stopped for a long moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten. He wiggled in feet first. The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. Next, a hedgehog came snuffling along. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled, but not being ones to argue with someone covered with prickles, they made room. I wonder who's next. As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When when he decided to move in also, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog grumbled. But when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in. Up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and he began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left. But when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. Oh, holy cow. Wait till you see this one. It started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten. A waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox trotted by, stopping to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. The fox poked his muzzle in. When the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave the fox lots of room. I think I would too. A great bear lumbered by. He spied the mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals were packed in as tightly as could be. But what animal would argue with a bear? The mitten swelled and stretched. It was pulled and bulged to many times its size, but Baba's good knitting skills held fast. Along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn. She wriggled into the one space left and made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Achoo! The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up into the sky and scattered the animals in all directions. On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was the lost mitten silhouetted against the blue sky. As he ran to catch his snow-white mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. First, she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw that he had his two new mittens. The end. Boys and girls, I hope you liked the story by Jan Brett the Mitten. Check it out at the Washington County Free Library, and I'm sure many of your teachers have this in their classroom library. Jan Brett writes all kinds of amazing books, and one thing about Jan Brett's craft is you can make predictions by, on the sides of her page, what is going to happen next, because that's something that's special about the way she writes her books and the way she illustrates her books. You can make predictions by the pictures on the side of each page as what's going to happen next. I hope that you have a great winter break. Spend lots of time with family and friends. Eat a lot of good food. Be safe. Read a good book or two or three. And we are going to look forward to seeing you again on January the 2nd. Happy New Year and happy holidays.